Hey everybody, welcome back to You Are Free TV. It is Wednesday, January 24th, 2024, and I'll just jump right in here with my disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is protected by the United States Constitution protecting free speech, as well as the Sullivan Act and reporting. It is not intended to bully or harass anyone, never to incite violence or hatred or lawlessness of any kind. It doesn't give legal, medical, or financial advice. There are further disclaimers in the description below. And so I'm so glad to be back with you here today. I got the frog out of my voice, I hope, and so we'll continue on. I'm not going to get into the HIAS right now, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, because I want to cover a couple other things, but it's going to touch into there later in the video. And so thank you so much for supporting the channel. You make it happen, and I thank you so much to everybody who makes this channel happen with your donations, your prayers, your news links, all of it. Thank you so much. I am so appreciative. And so let's jump in. Of course, I'm starting late because I really wanted to hear what Kari Lake was going to say on her press conference that she did live on Rumble tonight. And I think it's great that she did it on Rumble, kind of skirting the mainstream news baloney and spin. And she did a great job. She played the entire tape of Jeff DeWit trying to bribe her. He is, of course, the former, now resigned today, love it, Jeff DeWit, the GOP chair of Arizona, has resigned, and in complete, just misery for having tried to bribe Kari Lake to stay out of the Senate race. Last May is when this call happened. And so she did a great press conference tonight. I'm going to get into it, and we're going to look at who might be behind it, because in the press conference tonight, she didn't really say. She said, oh, I don't know who it is, but a lot of people have an idea who it is, and a lot of people think it is actually the Republican National, the National Republican Senatorial Committee. Okay, we're talking up in the Mitch McConnell zone here. We're talking the National Republican Senate Committee. And this is coming out of people like Michael Patrick Leahy, who does great work out of the Sun-Times and many papers, where he has done so much heavy lifting on getting to the deep truth about things that are going on. And so I'm going to just jump in here and get into the Jeff DeWit situation. So Jeff DeWit has resigned. I'll link it below, where you can again hear on tape that he was recorded trying to bribe Kari Lake to stay out of the Arizona Senate race, against Kristen Sinema. And that she is putting this out here now, basically, I think, because there is maybe more threats to her life going on. We don't know. And she did not say that in her press conference, but you can imagine that it's heating up here now as she is close in with Trump. Trump is of course, his life is threatened constantly, but this is a huge situation where we have the chair of a GOP in a state threatening, basically. He said things like, when she said, well, my life might be threatened, they're going to kill me, aren't they? And he says things like, well, the cartel is operative in 50 states now. When she says, well, why don't you just tell them I'm not going to do this? And he says something, well, if I put the key in my car and it goes, it blows up. Like, basically, this is the cartel level that we're dealing with our captured one party, uniparty Congress, Senate, the entire government that is run through interests that are foreign powers, basically. And this gets into what is the National Republican Senatorial Committee, where we have people like Michael Patrick Leahy putting out calls to people like Steve Daines, who is the senator out of Montana, who heads the NRSC, and getting no call back, basically saying, did this come out of the NRSC? This is Mitch McConnell. Has to do with the heavy lifting with funding. And they, it's the CCP, it is the Chinese, it is the banksters, the European elite who fund our Senate and fund who gets to run. It costs anywhere from $10 to $30 million to run for Senate. And basically they sign the ticket depending on whether or not you are going to support funding the Chinese, funding everything that they're doing with the ERGs, the ESGs, the UN program, the WEFers, all of it. And so very interesting. So the NRSC, the National Republican Senatorial Committee, is completely funded with globalist money, and the CCP. The donations are listed. You can go to NRSC.gov, and actually see the donations. Billions to China, okay? And this gets into Sequoia Capital. Sequoia Capital, I've covered it so much on this channel. Sequoia Capital out of Silicon Valley there in California. They are huge, the hugest CCP operatives, donors out of Sequoia Capital. It goes way back to Dianne Feinstein. It goes way back to when they first started funding the CCP out of California, but massively, with McConnell, with his wife, Chow. She, she has her family is a Chinese shipping magnate family, buying up our ports, everything to do with shipping China goods into the United States, the controlling of shipping, literally connected to the Belt and Road Initiative. And this is what's going on. And Sequoia Capital also, of course, so connected with FTX, right? FTX, the bogus crypto thing that, what's his face went to jail for, sort of, kind of. And, so many, it was like McCarthy got money from FTX. So many Republican Congress members and senators got money out of FTX. And then Griffin being one of the major funders out of Sequoia Capital. And so the NRSC is completely funded by these globalist players. And that is who is threatening, according to Michael Patrick Leahy. Okay, you can find him at the ArizonaSunTimes.com. I will link him below. There's multiple ways to connect with him, but basically he has gotten crickets when approaching Steve Daines, the senator out of Montana, about whether the NRSC is involved in what happened here with Kari Lake and this bribery situation. But Jeff DeWit is now completely, persona non grata. He should be brought up on criminal charges for bribery, trying to bribe a public official. She wasn't one at that point because they stole the governorship from her, but Kari Lake had the governorship stolen from her. She then was going to run for Congress, hadn't announced yet. This was last March, and she gets this call from Jeff DeWit saying, we're going to offer you tons of money. By the way, the cartels are operational in all 50 states because she, was her whole platform is I'm going to shut down the Arizona border, and threatening her in a very friendly way for entertainment purposes only for the National Republican Senatorial Committee. And this is so interesting, folks, because this is our government is completely, it doesn't matter if it's Republican or Democrat. Okay, the Democrats put it out maybe more flagrantly how disgusting they are. The rhinos keep it under the cuff. And this is very, very dangerous. And so I'm glad that Kari Lake put it out. And then she went on Rumble tonight to talk about it and say, here's the recording, listen to all of it. And basically she just said, that she's going to have to, support MAGA more and more. When it comes to the call, she said things like, she had other attempted briberies come to her when she was running for governor. She was basically told, well, we can get your PAC going. We can get a PAC for you, $1 million, but you have to not support Trump. You have to not support MAGA. You have to not support America First candidates. And she was like, no. And so this is an ongoing thing, right? And so we got to get Ronna McDaniel, we got to get her out of leading the RNC. She's recently came out like today saying, oh, we should get behind Trump suddenly, because she knows that in a few days, next Monday and Tuesday, there will be the gathering there in Las Vegas to basically turf her out of the RNC. This is huge, very important. And when Kari Lake was asked what you could do, she's tired. She just came back from the East Coast and maybe didn't know, just tired. She's dealing with this massive media onslaught regarding this audio of this bribery conversation that went on. And she basically said, get involved. This is a good versus evil battle. And what I would say, well, you know what? We need 60,000 poll watchers. Okay, we need 60,000 at least poll watchers in the United States to get active in your polls for the 2024 election. So you can go to precinctstrategy.com, lindellplan.com, but precinctstrategy.com is really great. And get involved with becoming a poll watcher or literally running for office locally in your area. We need people who are America First. And just as Kari Lake was literally threatened that she can't support any America First candidates, that's why we need you and I and everybody to get involved right now. And Kari Lake needs support because she's doing some heavy lifting here. She's fighting, a pretty big globalist machine. You can go to karilake.com and support her. And this Saturday in Arizona, there's going to be a new selection of an Arizona GOP leader, seeing as Jeff DeWitt had to resign in total humiliation, but also in criminality. And I really pray that there are charges brought against him, because this is what we need there to be, that these people are held accountable by the law of the land, by the law. And so just another recap real quick. Steve Daines, senator out of Montana, he's the head of the NRSC and the National Republican Senatorial Committee, where it seems like this threat came out of. This is according to Michael Patrick Leahy. I will link him below. And that we're waiting to hear back and to understand if that's true or not. Okay, so we're going to segue from there into, I want to get into this convoy that's heading to Texas. This is all interconnected because Kari Lake, where is she? She's Arizona, a senator, right? She's said that her whole point is to shut down the Arizona border. And of course, now today we get from Governor Abbott, I was talking about it yesterday when I was coughing up a frog, that there was the situation of, now we're going to bring more razor wire here to Eagles Pass. We're going to continue to shut off the access to the Texas border. But today we get Governor Abbott putting out a much stronger letter where he's basically citing the Constitution and saying that under Article 4 of the Constitution, it is the federal government's necessity that they are required to protect each state from invasion from foreign powers, invasion of any kind. And he put out a very strongly worded letter, and I will link it below, a declaration today, along with AG Ken Paxton. We love Paxton. Basically saying the federal government has broken its compact to protect the states. And that's true. And the situation here is, is this a real thing with Abbott? I don't trust Abbott. I don't. I think he's a globalist player. I think he's working on a plan, and that they're trying to set up this Civil War situation down there. And we even have the movie coming out in February, just predictive programming. Don't believe it. But, there already is now a huge convoy, on on the day after, we have the Trudeau government up there, the highest courts in Canada, saying that Trudeau and Friedland had violated the Charter of Canada by suspending the bank accounts of the truckers who did the convoy in Canada to protest the mandates and the lockdowns in Canada, saying that this was absolutely an abuse of emergency powers, all of that. Well, now we have a convoy heading down to Texas, to Eagles Pass, to Yuma, Arizona, to San Ysidro, California, all on the border. And I believe they're leaving Virginia as we speak. And the thing about Virginia, I'll just throw out there on the aside, is that Alexander or Alexei Vindman, right? This is the Ukrainian U.S. little Odessa guy, right? Who's running Trident out of the Ukraine war for entertainment purposes only. Where's that $1 billion worth of weapons they can't find? Oh, Trident, running weapons, right? Out of Ukraine. That's Vindman, right? He was one of the key people who was involved in trying to impeach President Trump. Well, his twin brother, who used to be operating out of the state of Washington, well, now he's running somehow, strangely, for Congress in Virginia. And I'm not going to get into that today too much, but we're going to definitely dig into this. This is very interesting because Virginia seems to be a key player for a lot of things. And I'm going to get into it in my next video about this with Vindman. But so go to takeourborderback.com, takeourborderback.com. This is now the convoy heading down to Eagles Pass through Dripping Springs, outside of Austin. They're going to go down, leaving Virginia, some convoys leaving Virginia, some coming, I think, from California, even from Canada. And they're going down to the border to basically, be part of this Governor Abbott's, attempt with the National Guard to protect the border from the feds. I like it on its face. I question it with how it can be absolutely used for FEFs, right, for FFs, and that they're ginning up, this Civil War scenario. I like what they have to say about it. I like the declaration that Governor Abbott put out. It was very strong. It was very 1776 style. I'll link it below so you can read it for yourself. Again, federal government has broken its compact to protect the states, invoking Article 4, where the federal government must protect the states from invasion. That's their job. But, I'm curious, I would say this, look for feds, make sure there's no feds involved, because we know the feds are involved in everything. And so what's going to happen there? TakeOurBorderBack.com. Okay, so February 1st, they're going to be meeting up in Dripping Springs, Texas. And they're going to have a big revival there. I guess there's going to be a revival, Christian meeting revival there. And they're calling for this to happen all across these different border convoys that is coming forward. And then they're going to meet in Eagles Pass on February 2nd. So a week from today, we're going to have a huge convoy in the thousands of truckers and others coming to the border to support what Abbott's doing and support shutting down the invasion of the border. Then they're going to be moving to Yuma, Arizona. Maybe Kari Lake will show up there, and they're going to also be there in San Ysidro, California, there in the desert at that crossing. And so this is very interesting. So what are we hearing, and who's involved? So this is being done. The convoy to Texas is largely being done and organized by a Lieutenant Colonel Peter Constantine Chambers. Lieutenant Colonel Pete Chambers, he is a retired Green Beret as well as a medical doctor in the military. And he is leading this situation. He's been very involved in everything going on with surveilling what's going on the border. This is not somebody who came out of nowhere, leading an FEFE. he is somebody who has been working with Michael Yon, many others to surveil what's going on the border, show people when 17,000 Haitians come across the border, 12,000 others, on a different day, doing heavy lifting there. So I don't think he's, a problem. I think it's actually very exciting, but I think the problem is the feds trying to infiltrate. But I also think that, it is what I liked, one of the things that Dr. Pete had to say was that, we're all prisoners of war right now. We're all living in an occupied state. We have been gutted from within through traitors who are facilitating this invasion. And you get into Mayorkas. We saw that the House Committee on Homeland Security has put forth the articles of impeachment against Mayorkas. That's moving forward. Mayorkas, no oath for entertainment purposes only. Todd Callender, I'll link it again below. There is no oath of office from Mayorkas, and Blinken and Austin and these people who are posing as government officials, orchestrating an invasion of our country, orchestrating a coup of our country in live time, in real time. We are all prisoners of war in this rollout of the coup against our republic. And so I'm very interested in what's going to go on here and take place. Should there be organizing, at the Capitol buildings across states, across the country? These are all things to think about. There is a way to organize around this that I think is very interesting. And so about getting back to Lieutenant Colonel Peter Chambers, so he's leading this convoy to Eagles Pass. He says that, we have traitors posing as government officials, that we have to absolutely take our country back. And the ways to do that is to understand that we have the constitutional right to do so. We have been subdued. We're under, he was talking about today that we're under a Stockholm Syndrome situation where we're not able to see what's happening around us because of all of the social engineering involved. And that we have to basically start getting it together to identify who is with us and who's against us, and to go ahead and protect the border. And so what I like about this movement is the situation where they're planning to have revival meetings, before every action. And so they're having revival meetings right there in a small town before they get to Eagles Pass on February 1st. February 2nd will be the actual convoy arrival at Eagles Pass there in Texas. And this is all going on while Governor Abbott is issuing this new, very 1776 style letter to the government saying, you have the constitutional duty to protect the states under Article 4 of the Constitution. It is one of the only duties given to the federal government is that they must protect the states against invasion. And now we have it happening. And so, I would say to all of us, it's up to us to hold the line. We must rise up to this occasion and see what happens. I would say get involved. What we need in the election, and to not have FEFs set off a mini civil war, we really need election observers. We need precinct observers. We need people who can go to all the voting polls and be observers. So, that's a small thing you can do if you go to precinctstrategy.com. But you can find out all of the goings on of the convoy that is going to be in the thousands. They're saying this will be the first one, just starting the beginning of February. They plan to have multiple more. And this will be people from anywhere from Canada to all across the United States, truckers. And you look across the world, we have in Germany massive amounts of farmers and truckers going in. They're depositing massive tractor loads of manure in front of huge government buildings. They're going full bore against Queen, what's her face, Maxima, blah, blah, blah. She has like 8 names, like the Queen of Netherlands, the richest families in the world, the trillionaires, right? It was Prince Bernard who started Bilderberg. she came out at the WEF and said, we definitely are going to have a global digital ID for everybody, across the board. It's going to happen. It's absolutely 100%, because they are planning, of course, to steal everything with this unified programmable ledger out of the BIS, out of the Bank of International Settlements, out of Switzerland. They have it all planned. Their Ponzi schemes are coming to an end, right? And they have to create the next Ponzi scheme that steals assets, trades it for tyranny, right? Where, they steal everything from you and then they give it back to you in something that is useless, just in order that you can, buy food and support your life. And so, very interesting though with the royals. They're all like sick and all kinds of weird stuff. I told you about King Charles. He's got the Austin style prostate cancer problem. Kate Middleton, she's in the hospital. Princess of Wales. We've got the Queen of Denmark stepping down and giving it to her son, Margrethe or whatever her name is. And then we get most recently Fergie, right? We get Sarah Ferguson. She had the turbo breast cancer. Now she's got the turbo skin cancer. So it's very interesting, when Prince Philip, right, the Queen of England, her husband, when he died, he said, before I die, just when I come back, I want to come back as this massive virus. He said it, so I could wipe out the population of humanity, because he was like the number one Mason in the world, like the Scottish Lodge, out of just took a picture of me when I said that, out of Scotland. He was the number one Mason in the world, Philip. And he basically said, I want to come back as a virus and depopulate humanity. And it's so funny, like what you wish for comes back to you, right? Because these royals, they're having a royal hard time of it right now. And so very interesting there, as we see massive fight back in Germany and Netherlands to fight the globalists happening here too. What happened in Canada with, we're going to, the judge coming back and saying you're violating the charter of Canada, basically their Bill of Rights, to go against and take these people's property, take their bank accounts, charge them of crimes. This is a violation, your use of emergency powers, right? And so we have to watch what goes on here in Texas and in Arizona and in San Ysidro in California. We have to make sure that we watch for feds and that we, whatever happens there doesn't become a reason that they can institute martial law, suspend the election, and interrupt everything that is going on. And so, we need to maybe hear more from Lieutenant Colonel retired Pete Chambers about how that gets prevented. It does seem legit, everything that he's been doing on the border, and so we'll have to learn more as we go. And so there's that. And so, it kind of ties in a bit, because when we look at, I'm going to quick sip of water. When we look at even USA Today coming out, USA Today, right? That giant rag, you get it for free at a hotel when you go there. They're doing heavy lifting actually with exposing the Ebola labs in Colorado, right? I mentioned that. They've been testing, they're building a new bat lab in Fort Collins that is a CDC lab at the, I think it's State University, Colorado in Fort Collins, 65 miles north of Denver, where they've been creating this new bat lab. And it's only a P2 lab, which it should be a P4 lab, because they're dealing with things like Marburg, Ebola, hantavirus, multiple more, SARS, V2, all of these awful diseases. But even now, we have USA Today coming out and saying that they're going to expose what's going on there and have exposed it. Let me just try to find it here real quick. So if you go to biolabs.usa today, biolabs.usatoday.com, they did a FOIA request in Discovery, and an article is written by Allison Young, who basically is exposing that the CDC has hundreds of biodefense labs across the USA, and that multiple of them have been violating their safety and security codes for years, and that the Fort Collins lab there at CSU, at Colorado State University in Fort Collins, they were shut down from 2007 to 2010, plus again in 2014, because they had leaks of things like anthrax, Ebola, okay, we get the avian flu, right? And so this is the same crowd with only a P2 lab. It should be a P4. That's the highest protection of biowarfare labs, that they're literally making Ebola vaccines to be used by the military. Okay, they're denying gain of function is happening there, but they're making vaccines to be used by the military. And we know when they say they're making vaccines, it means they're making bioweapons for entertainment purposes only to be used by the military. And this is in Colorado. Colorado, it's so sad, but it's been totally captured. It has been captured by Big Pharma. Pfizer has created massive production plants there outside of Boulder. Boulder has been such a beautiful place, totally captured, right? We got Google taking it over, Pfizer et al., and all the biolabs in the CDC out of University of Colorado. And you get, the massive military installations in Colorado Springs. And then you have the military biolabs up there in apparently in Fort Collins. And so even USA Today put in FOIA requests to get this information released. And it is true that there has been at Denver Health, they had their high-risk infection team getting the Ebola shots they're saying, the CDC tried to claim with USA Today that it's impossible that this could shed to others, but they're claiming it's only a partial virus. And it's ridiculous because the reality is that this partial virus is a segment, okay, of Ebola, okay, that's bioengineered, spliced, CRISPR style into a live virus, quite likely a deadly flu virus, okay? It could be many options, but it could be, put into a Marburg type virus. We don't know exactly, but it's put into a live virus, okay? A CRISPR style, again, one of these Franken bioweapons that like the CV, and it says literally in its own documentation that it's close to 32% chance of shedding itself to spread. And so this is what's going on. It's being revealed by even USA Today via Allison Young. Thank you, Allison Young, for putting in that FOIA request and giving us this information, because they're creating a new bat lab. We have people like Senator Joni Ernst out of Iowa even inquiring about this and saying, putting it out through the Senate, hey, what's going on with the bat lab being created in Colorado? Why are we going to now be gain of functioning bats to deal with Ebola, anthrax, and other very awful diseases, right? So call your senators, ask them about it, and get with your representatives as well, 202-224-3121 for the senators. And you might want to ask them about the Kari Lake video while you're at it, when you're calling your senators. Go to billblastersapp.org. Might get you more directly there if you want to get directly to your senator, because it looks like more and more the White House switchboard is going on full Muzak, elevator style. Very, very hard to get through. That's 202-225-312 and for your representatives. And so important. While you're there, why not say, hey, can we repeal the 1986 Act that gives Pfizer et al. Exemption from being prosecuted for vaccine deaths and damages? It's worth it. Even the Coloradan.com has been putting out articles about the CDC lab in Fort Collins. Again, one of at least 5 labs, and there's hundreds of biodefense labs of the CDC across the United States, a lot of them connected with universities, and CCP money feeding those universities hugely. And Denver Health, of course, implicated here down the road from here, where they're injecting these live Ebola shots into their staff. And so we had the governor of Colorado even coming out trying to debunk it. And USA Today came out and said, no, it's all right here. We got the FOIA request. We know it's happening. Denver Health is for entertainment purposes only, shooting up their staff members, and they're right down the street from this Fort Collins P2 bat lab that is dealing with this, with creating vaccines for military use to do with Ebola. And so why are they doing this? Why are they injecting their staff there in Colorado? Well, because I would say, for entertainment purposes only, that they are planning to roll out something in Colorado. It's totally captured. They have taken a beautiful place with wonderful people and an incredible spiritual, just a beautiful nature place, and turned it into a cesspool of big pharma, big tech, and money control of bribery and taking over everything in the area, and also shooting it super high with massive EMF rollout, 6G, 10G, just frying the population. And so why something wouldn't roll out in Colorado? They have tens and tens and tens of thousands of migrants also being spilled into Denver. They have massive amounts of these migrants going through Denver Health and other hospital systems in the area. And it'd be the perfect rollout. Of course, you've got your massive military bases there, and some of them very deep underground. Very deep, connected with, the center of our Pentagon military system there. So, so there's that. So I wanted to just pull in that all together, how it's all interconnected. And then also, as I was saying yesterday, with the HIAS, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, we get the guy who's running that actually is the assistant AG in Colorado. What's going on with that, right? So they're bringing in all the migrants into Denver, and we're seeing, that this guy is literally the assistant AG, and it doesn't, make tons of sense. Like, what is going on? Is Mayorkas an HIAS Foundation board member? The impeachment articles are going through. They just started a foundation of the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society Foundation, and it's put out there by maybe Michael Yon saying, I think he's a board member of one of these things. Is he a board member on the foundation? This planned invasion, migration. When we look at, people like Amy Pope, who's running the IOM, who was selected out of the Biden administration to go to the UN and run the International Organization on Migration, this planned invasion, this completely planned takeover from the interior of unelected officials that don't seem to have oaths of office, but are running for globalist forces, a takeover invasion of our United States. Amy Pope, again, she's the IOM Director General. She took office on October 1st, 2023, and she was Biden's senior advisor on migration. She was Deputy Homeland Security Advisor to Obama. She comes out of Chatham House and the Schillings Law Firm out of London. Just look at, how's DeSantis doing, right? What happened to his sister, Christine? She died. Never any mention of how, right? But she was auditing some of the oldest banking industries to do with the royal family in England, okay? And what Amy Pope has said is that her main purpose there at the IOM is harnessing the power of migration, right? And the power of migration, the harnessing, is to overthrow the United States of America and all of Western Europe. All right. And so yeah, so I want to go back to that guy, Jeff Blattner, real quick, and then I'm going to wind this up. But Jeff Blattner, the chairman of the board of what is the new foundation out of the HIAS, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, Jeff Blattner, he used to work at the U.S. Department of Justice. He worked under Ted Kennedy, and he was in the transition teams of Obama and Clinton. But now he's the special assistant AG in Colorado. Okay, where all of the DEI, all of the woke and weaponized defunding of the police and decriminalizing criminals is going on, and all of the situation with if you're assistant to the AG, you're making tons of deals to go along with what is being allowed to happen with who's moving into Colorado to do what business, under what guise, and to what end. And so I might leave it there, folks. We're at 41 minutes. I could go on, but I wanted to basically let you know about what's going on with Kari Lake, kicking it out of the park, Jeff DeWit having to resign today. Hopefully there'll be criminal charges brought, and hopefully it will be exposed that we get the that we get the Republican, the National Republican Senatorial Committee exposed for being the source of these bribes against Kari Lake. That I'll link it below so you can listen to the audio and hear where her life was basically being threatened, where it was said, oh, you know, those cartels, they're functioning in all 50 states, and Jeff DeWit saying, well, you know, if I try to resist this, you know, I might put my key in my car and it will go boom. I mean, what? Yeah, this is the cartel we're dealing with. It's called Cartel Babylon. It's the economy of sin, and our entire Congress and senators are absolutely bought and paid for by the CCP and the globalists. And I'd say Mitch McConnell's right at the top of that in this threat, for entertainment purposes only, the National Republican Senatorial Committee, funded by Sequoia Capital, right? CCP Central. So, and all the FTX money that came out of that to all those people, McConnell, McCarthy, all of them, right? And so, I'm going to leave it there. It's all interconnected. If you want to check out what's going on with what's happening at the border with the convoy, it's leaving, I believe, in the next couple days out of Virginia, as well as other places. But go to takeourborderback.com, takeourborderback.com. Check it out, see what you feel about it yourselves. February 1st, they'll be in Dripping Springs, Texas, and then on February 2nd, so a week from today, they'll be in Eagles Pass. And they're being part of what Abbott's putting out as his declaration today, which is claiming, of course, Article 4, where the federal government has broken its compact to protect the states. All very interesting, but certainly, you know, this FEFE situation is on the table, huge. You know, martial law to suspend the election, all of it, and feds. So I would urge everybody to be very careful in their approach to this, but I also would say that we absolutely have the right to defend our borders. It is in every state's constitution, as well as our Constitution of the United States Republic. So there's that, takeourborderback.com. Thanks for listening, folks. I hope you found this video helpful or added value, and I appreciate it if you want to support the channel and make me be able to do more videos and without frogs in my throat. And I'll also just take the moment to say c60evo.com/YAFTV. Use the code YAFTV for 10% off. C60evo is an incredible carbon 60 product. 100% pure, the finest lab possibly in the world creates this out of Houston, Texas, and they are an amazing company. This product is all organic. Olive oil, you can get avocado oil, MCT oil for that real keto effect. I like the capsules in the olive oil because I like having that gelatin kind of protein oil combo for the digestibility of it for me. But there's all kinds of products, facial serums, I'm wearing it now, and they just do, they really support the people who are supporting freeing America. So c60evo.com/YAFTV, use the code YAFTV for 10% off. If you support the channel, you get 15% off, and you get a code sent to you with a different link and a different code, an email sent to you. And I also give away 2 bottles of this on the channel every month to people who support the channel. You get entered into a giveaway, and it's always one of my biggest thrills to be able to give that away. So if you want to contribute to the channel before the end of the month, you get entered into the giveaway. All right, thanks for letting me plug that, folks. You are free. So here we are. It is very exciting times. We have things being exposed. We have people getting involved. Mayorkas being impeached. We have the, the southern border shakedown. We have Kari Lake exposing massive fraud out of the senatorial national committee. We have the even USA Today coming out and showing that the CDC has labs in Fort Collins, Colorado, that have violated, that they had their licenses suspended for 3 years, and then again in 2014 for violating the conditions of safety in Fort Collins at State University of Colorado. So it is, it's big times, and it's our big fight. So put on your God's armor, right? I kind of call it the cloak of Christ, that you just ask for it and descends upon you, and it absolutely enables you to be free of fear, right? Be free of fear and just pray to God that it's, Philippians 4:6-7, right? Fear nothing, pray about everything, and thank God for all that He has given you. And we do that all the time, every day, because we are so lucky to be living in the United States of America. We don't take it for granted, and that's why we have to hold the line, right? And we have to absolutely carry forward the legacy that was given to us. So do your part, whatever your action is, whatever your God-given talents are, whether it is becoming a poll watcher, whether it is running for office, whether it's becoming a precinct manager, a committee member, getting involved in every way is vital now, because your actions have a giant energetic effect, okay? That whatever you do is multiplied energetically. That's just quantum entanglement. It's how the energy is given to us by God, that once you take action, all your beliefs, all your wishes, all your prayers come to fruition that much clearer, quicker, and with that much more power when you take action. So take action, freedom lovers. You are free. I'll see you next time.